Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakwadash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders at Great Millstone, and salutations to the elect. Shalom to you all, to the believers of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai. Shalom. And what I want to get into basically is, when we come into this truth, right, speaking to the believers and the brothers that preach the word, this truth, it starts with ourselves first. All right. No matter what office you hold in the ministry or whether you're just a believer, the truth starts with you. And, this sparked my spirit because, the inspiration of it is, was given to me, meditating on certain things that are happening and, certain things that are brought up to the attention of brothers and through the spirit. This truth starts with us. This is 2 Ezra 14 and 13. It says, "Now therefore set thine house in order." All right. First and foremost, your house is yourself. All right. First and foremost, your house is yourself. Because how can we go out there and reprove people, or how can you as a believer go and tell your grandma, your auntie, stop eating pork and stop doing this and that, because people in the world, they're going to try and make sure that you dot your I's and your T's as well, because that's Jake. All right. So before we can go out and reprove people, or before we go out and try and correct other people, we got to set our house in order first. All right. Brothers with families. All right. As well, because the scriptures is double fold, manifold. We know we're in captivity, and these women, they're not ours. All right. So to the best of your ability, you get your house in order, because some brothers, they have unbelieving wives and stuff like that. But, your house can still be in order to a certain degree. All right. It says, "And reprove thy people." Okay. So lest we be reprobates and lest we be hypocrites. All right. Because that's one of the worst things to be, is a hypocrite. To be telling somebody to stop doing something, to stop doing this and stop doing that, and then behind closed doors, you're doing it. All right. That's one of the things that the Lord hated, was a hypocrite. All right. So this truth starts with us, ourselves. All right. Before we can go out and do, anything, the truth, we have to get ourselves situated. All right. And for the most part, everybody should know what to do. Everybody should know how to move. And it's a ongoing process. I was meditating on something today, that if you're not learning something, if you're not taking your experiences in this truth or in life, well, I'm going to say in this truth because you're in this truth in this life, then something's wrong, right? You should be constantly shedding. And what I mean by that is, as a snake sheds its skin every once in a while. All right. Why? Because it's old skin. Okay. And that new skin is growing under it. So it has to shed its old skin. So we should be constantly shedding because we've been raised up here in Babylon. Some brothers come to the truth a little bit earlier than others. But, we should be shedding that old man because we were raised in the worst place ever, which is America. And it's undeniably facts that America is the worst place ever. It's the baddest place ever. It's the worst place ever. It's the most wickedest place ever. Okay? So we should be shedding these things because, we're coming back into our heritage and, we have great examples of, what an Israelite man should look like. And it's a learning process, because we're going back to a whole nother ancient way. Even how we deal with our wives, even how we deal with our children, even how we deal with the brothers. We're constantly should be learning, life, the scriptures as well, but you're going to learn a lot about how to move, how to live as an Israelite man, because we've fallen away. Right. So that's why the Lord has given us grace and mercy, and even amongst the brotherhood, because, we've been raised up in a place where you were taught to be selfish. You were taught to be covetous. You were taught to be evil from the birth. You've been brainwashed. We've been brainwashed, and that process of coming out of that is a process. It's not an overnight thing. And the Lord, he gave us a grace period to shed that much of America as possible. And are we going to get it perfect? No. We're not going to get it perfect, but we can try. And that's the thing that we all have to do. We have to try our best. We have to put our best foot forward. Okay? It says, reprove thy people, comfort such of them as be in trouble. And that's what we do, right? We comfort the people. We tell them that the Lord is coming back. Our enemies are going to go into captivity. We're not going to be doing this from captivity to captivity. This is our last captivity. We comfort our people. The Lord got promises for us, the kingdom, All right. It says, and now renounce corruption. That's what we've done. Okay. Now we have to continue to do it. All right. Because the scriptures say endure until the end. So we can't just endure for a season. Our mind has to be dead set, focused on the mission, on what we need to do to get out of here. All right. And let me get, this is, the book of Sirach, chapter 37. And (19). All right, it says, there is one that is wise and teach of many. All right, for brothers that are teaching in the ministry, teaching the scriptures. Right, we get on YouTube. We put these videos on wax and we send it out to the world. So we do teach many. It says, and yet is unprofitable to himself, because you have men that are hypocrites. You have men that preach the scriptures, but they don't live by the scriptures. Okay. Living by the scriptures mean when you're faced with something in reality, in this world, when you're faced with something and you have to apply that scripture, are you applying it? Or are you just reading the scriptures just to do videos? See, this is the difference. We actually have to live the scriptures. We actually have to do what the scriptures say. All right. Even down to how we treat people in this world. Being blameless, trying to the best of our ability to live the scriptures. See, we can do all the videos we want. But if we're not living the scriptures, then what is it going to profit yourselves? What is it going to profit us? Speaking to myself too. First, because when we do these lessons, we speak to ourselves first. Right? Because I say in the beginning, the truth starts with us, you. So anything that I'm saying, it applies to me tenfold. Because no one likes a hypocrite. Right? You got men that are, they go out there and they preach the scriptures, and then when their dirty drawers come out, you find out that this guy was a whole demon. Using guerrilla Hebrew, Al-Azhar, whatever, you call him. Using him as an example because the Lord made him an example. Right? Teach many. But he was unprofitable to himself. Why? Because to him, the scriptures didn't apply to him. He felt like he was above what he was teaching. He didn't live it. He was being a hypocrite. He was being an actor. It was acting to him. We don't want to be like that. Jumping down to verse 27. It says, my son, prove thy soul in thy life and see what is evil for it. So we have to prove our life and see what is good for us and what is not good for us. All right. The things that we were doing in the world, you shouldn't be doing those things anymore. If you're doing it behind closed doors, you better stop doing it. I'm going to give the analogy of when a father comes home, okay, he had a rough day at work. As a child, you before you would go and, check your pops out or see what's going, play with them. You want to make sure your pops is in a good mood. Well, right now, dad ain't in a good mood. Right? He's angry with the wicked every day. All right. And you can tell by the judgments that are going out. Judgment is going out. The Lord is judging. He's a judge. And through the Spirit, man, you got to read the room. This goes back to, I made a lesson. Read the room. If you're an Israelite man, you need to read the room. You need to see what the hell is going on through the Spirit. Okay? It says, and give not that unto it. So whatever is not good unto you, don't do it. Don't give yourself over to it because it could destroy you. Okay? You got to know, it was a song. You got to know when to run, know when to walk away, know when to fold. You got to know. And that comes through experience. Life experiences, just living life and actually applying it to your life. Because you can know a lot of shit, right? You can know a lot of shit about a lot of shit. Like you can know a lot, random shit, all type of crazy shit. But if you don't apply it, what good is it to you? You just want to sound like a geek, Oh yeah, you can, tell it, oh, this is that and that is this. That shit don't mean nothing, man. Okay, these scriptures are to be applied. All right, and one of the things that I've noticed coming to this truth is, to me, if I had to sum it up for a young man coming to this truth, man, you got to do a lot of listening, man. Just because you have an opinion about something, that don't mean you have to say it. You got to do a lot in life. You got to do a lot of listening. You got to observe a lot of things. You got to read the room. You got to listen, young man. Especially Israelite men. You got to listen. It's a lot of men that talk too goddamn much. And I know I'm going off the scale. Going off of what I'm speaking about, but it's the truth. And the scriptures say about speaking too much, man. You got to listen, man. You got to observe. That's how you learn. You don't learn by talking. If you're in a classroom setting, if you're in school, how in the hell are you going to learn something if you're talking? Or are you listening just to talk? A lot can be learned by just listening. All right? And that's also examining yourself as well. Damn, am I talking too much? Nobody cares about your opinion. You know, I'm just speaking facts. Just listen. Whoever this is for, that's who it's for, whatever. Shut the hell up and listen. All right, so prove thy soul in thy life and see what is evil for it. That goes for whatever it is. Anything that is detriment to our walk, it got to go. Especially nearing the kingdom of heaven, especially nearing Jacob's trouble. We want to be found as blameless as possible, you know. But I felt like I hit the point. Lord willing, was edifying. Shalom.